And it would have been mine if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
Pretty much street football is the purest form of football out there. You can play with anyone, anywhere, at any time. You don't need to be part of a club. You won't get ostracized. You just need to have the love for the game. And that's all it ever has been. That's what drew me to it. That's what drew all my players to it. That's what caused me to build this organization. And it's led to some really cool things.
It was really easy, yeah, very easy to identify with that. It was seriously, it was a TV show just waiting to happen.
So I got a call from him a few weeks later saying, look, it's too cool for you guys to be just a character in a show. Let's build your own show. It's always urban or rule breakers. That's pretty much how I see it. That's how we have to describe it to everybody else. Because any other words, they won't see it. It's pretty much just urban football. We break rules.
And Peter and I both agree on this, that this has probably been the easiest development of a TV show that we've experienced.
I had the vision very clear in my head, and then I tried to convert that and distill it onto the page as soon as I can. Making up their own rules, playing where others don't, night games, well then that lights your brain up. And I first visualised someone's mansion that has been abandoned. There was an old tennis court out the back, so they're going to train there, and then it started to lock into what it exists as a real game. I love converting a blank sheet of paper into a concept.
We don't play on grass, we play on the concrete. No refs, it's morality. Everyone's judging by what you think is right. You can take someone out, but be prepared for their team to come and take you out even harder. So it's all about your mental state, what you're thinking, how you think the other team's going to react. No grass, concrete, it's all hurt. You're not just going to get a grass burn. You're going to have an open wound.
He was kicking balls in the street, and it was not governed by any stadium or any organisation, and I could tell that him, because he was playing in the Southern Cross Futsal League, it still wasn't them. I think that they were just doing that for a bit of exposure, and I think they were just doing that for a bit of fun and a bit of a giggle. But you can just see where the brand was positioned totally left of anything else I've ever seen in regards to that space. I've been working with a number of futsal sides, but Slavi wasn't a futsal side. He was a lifestyle brand that played futsal. So that's what we thought, hang on, we could spin this. And the only way really is, to get longevity in your brand is to connect with the up and coming people that's going to connect to your brand, which is animation and kids TV. When I pitched this idea to Nandish, who's the CEO of Rainczuk Studios, he's put his hand in his pocket. He's done that out of belief that it's going to be very popular.
Ken and I have a nice marriage situation where he finishes my sentences or I start his. And once he starts going, my brain takes off and I join the dots and try to distill the scramble that comes through the telephone.
He's got a gift of knowing what's going on up here and putting it down on paper really, really quickly. So I can't do that. But then just, over an hour conversation with Pete, and he just goes, yep, get it. And then 2 days later you go, holy crap, that's amazing.
And with this one, it was really, hey, there's this game and it's not really the same as every other game. Where are we going to put it? How are we going to make it interesting? How are we going to create the characters? If we create the characters, how do we get the opposition? Where are they going to live? They can't just live in a normal place. We've got to make it a bit alternative. What about an old factory? What's that going to look like? What was there before? Where are they going to play? Or maybe in car parks, rooftops. Where do I know one of those? There's an old video shop that's got a car park on the top. I can visualise that. I'll scribble that down, gave that to the rest of the team. They then make it beautiful, add the palette to take it away from anything else that's happening, and bingo, you start to get the form. to give to the writers that start to write the scripts?
We play in a lot of really fun locations. We love rooftops. Rooftops are always the coolest, but they're always the hardest to find. I only know of one in the Sydney area that we've ever played in. But car parks are always cool. We like playing at night. Gives off the coolest vibe. People see us, they always think it's really cool. But it's always wherever you can play, whatever you can use. You can use trolleys for goals if you want. So it's always just playing in that underground location where you can fit a game. We aren't like Europe out here where we have courts in every street. We have to make do with what we have.
You know, I think that we wrote one show. Well, I think we wrote the premise of the show over an hour phone call, and we just went yes, 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 yes. That's how easy it was, because it was just so obvious. You know, like kids playing football on the streets. Anyone can identify with that. Anyone, any socio-economical demographic can play. Just need a ball, and that's what we really loved about it. And that's why when you look at the vision later on, like that we. You know, a lot of our stuff is played at night, played in the shadows of the day, played behind the scenes. That's what it's all about.
I took Ken's idea and then sent it back to him as a sort of a very rough layout. He sent it back to Slavi, who gave it a tick to start with. Then it evolved, and it was fairly cartoony to start with. And then we had another go with a very fantastic artist called Damien, who wanted to make them more elongated and less cartoon character. And that's where we're at now, where the Slavi's look and the rest of the team have solidified. The 3D guys have now model those and love that they've got long legs and wacky looking muscles, and the shirts are what they are. And we're going to sort of create that with a bit of grunge and with special lighting to make it look like it's Fight Club, for want of a better word, on the streets with a soccer ball.
When I formed SSC, it was around 6 years ago. We've been through numerous different rosters of players that just didn't fit. But recently we built the new SSC. It's felt so right. We have the right cohesion, it's the right community. It all just fits. The first person that's been a part of that was Savas. Quick on his feet, non-stop talking, great guy, most loyal. He's been here for 3 years. And he's just really enjoyable to be around. Now, then second off, we had Kubi as well. She joined first female player, which was a huge, big thing for us. We call her the silent assassin. She's the one who'll break the rules, but you wouldn't think so if you look at her. She'll beat all the guys too, so don't be shy. Don't be caught off guard if you see that. That's quite normal. We then have Ro. Ro's pretty cool. You see her, she's covered in tattoos. And you think, but she wouldn't hurt a fly. When you look at her, it just catches you so off guard. As I said, same with Kubi. She'll beat all the guys too, but she's just very creative on the ball as well. So up front, we're always on guard, always defending when she's got the ball. Then we have your boy, Sudanese background, really cool, really energetic, and we've always missed that. And he's so great to have on board now. He's all about the love in the community, so he's great to have there. We then have young Shazza. We have the young 15-year-old. Unbelievable to have a 15-year-old in the team with a bunch of adults, but believe me, he holds his own. He's got the skills that none of us have. And it's just really great to be able to have that. Something for people to watch grow up as well. He's just a really good all-round person to have in the team.
Look, I think that the Streetball crew will be great role models, whether it be Slavi or Saxon or Sienna or Sage or Skylar. I think some child is going to identify with one of those characters. And I think that we've tried to do a real diverse cross-section of characters from different parts of the world. So someone will always be able to identify with one of those kids. But they're always going to be, even though they're misfits and they're not going to be troublemakers, they just don't fit in a mould that society has created, which is organised sport. And I reckon there's millions of kids that would identify with that.
I dream visually. I've been like this since I was 7. I just think of comic strips, dream in comic strips, and I dream in cartoons. It's nuts. There's a logic. There's got to be a cartoon logic to it. Who are the characters? What's the universe they live in? What's causing them to do what they're doing? How do they escape from something or other that's going on? Is there a headquarters, and is there a baddie? Now, do we need a baddie? Is the opposition the baddie? We are modelling the whole thing around Slavi and the challenges and the trials and tribulations. So what affects him? Who's going to upset him? Are there other people on other teams that can get into his brain? This is what will all come out in due course. But we've got to model that to see now who's the target audience, where are they going to see it, is it going to be streaming, is it going to be on a television show? We don't know that yet, but we can still follow the basic fundamentals of making the foundation and what follows as interesting as we possibly can with what we know at the moment.
To join the team, it's interesting because even my own methods are hypocritical in how I pick players up. It's either I like you, so that's the first thing. I don't care how good you are, if I don't like you, you're not going to fit. If you're not good to other people, you're not going to fit. I need to know, since this game is built on morality, I don't want people that are in here that are going to go and hurt other teammates or aren't going to care if our own teammates get hurt. So first of all, I want a good person, but yes, you need to be an amazing player. That's the second one. And to be honest, that's pretty much all there is. As long as you put us first, I guess that is the third. We'll go loyalty. But that's it. It's loyalty, being a great player, and having a great attitude. And that's towards this. I don't care if you don't like outdoor soccer, that's actually preferred, but that's just how we sort of do things here.
Seem to identify holes in the market somehow. You know, I just seem to know there is a gap, and then and try to fill that gap. So I've always been in marketing. I've done a degree in marketing, business management. Like that's been my thing. But finding and identifying holes in the market is something else. And Peter and I were talking about there's really no children's properties for sports, for kids sports. And so that's why we've done, we've got cricket, golf, futsal. We're doing a futsal show, and streetball. So streetball and our footsie show are two different demographics altogether. But streetball for me it's one of my favourites.
As I remember it, basically Ken and I started going, what about this, what about that? I like that, let's keep going. Oh, we've got the house, we've got the warehouse, uniforms, the balls have to have skulls on them. If you look at a soccer ball, it's got black holes which could become eyes for a skull and a mouth. So let's start moving with that idea. Maybe that should be on the logo. So we scribbled out a brochure. I gave that to Ken. Ken, in the meantime, had told Slavi, this is our idea. Slavi kept saying yes, yes, yes. And then we presented him with the brochure. Bang. And normally that could be a company executive or someone else who says, can we make their outfit green? Why have they got shoes on that don't match? Or can we have the socks up? There's none of that happened. So we were able to go very, very quickly to the end result, which then has to go much, much further as you start going out to the world.
So when I started seeing all the previews and the drafts, blew me away. I remember showing my mum straight away, and she said, can I please show this to all my friends? This is amazing. I looked at the character and I thought, oh my God, I have to keep up with this character now. He's so much cooler than I actually am. I've even cut my hair, so it's my character now. So Ken's really put a lot of pressure on me. Ken and Peter, I have to keep up with this. So no, character's amazing. Preview is fantastic. They really understood the vision better than I did. So when I started seeing this all come together, and I've seen storyboards, and I've seen, a bit of a playthrough, it's unbelievable. Honestly, what I believe Ken saw was that we knew what we were doing. We were so different. There's so much personality in what we do and so much creativity that we stand out from other teams, we stand out from other sports. I think Ken, working in animation and cartoonist and shows his whole life, he would have noticed that there's some spark to us. And I think that's what stood out to him. I think it's just the overall image that he could see around this. He could see a show. He could see people dying to want to be a part of this. And they really will die to want to be a part of this, you know?
I'm proud of being a part of this series because I think it is going to be exciting. I'm not talking about successful, I just think it's going to be a fantastic journey. Look, the success will take care of itself. When you've got people like Slavi and the crew, you know, to work with, yeah, I think it's a good recipe.
They say in your wildest dreams, but I know it will happen too. So I know the crew and the animation will be a household name. That's the ambition, and that's what's going to happen. It'll be a household name. Every kid will grow up talking about streetball, and that's the coolest thing. And then by association, SSC will be part of that as well. That's the overall vision. I want everyone to know who we are. If you think outdoor football, you look at the Manchester Uniteds, the Manchester Cities, the Paris. But I want, when people talk about football, I don't care if they're talking outdoor or street or futsal. When they list the best teams in the world, I want our name up there. And it's not about having the best players in the world, because I'm sure if we go up against Paris, there'll be a ridiculously huge scoreline in their favour. But you put them on the streets against us, it'll be quite different. And it's all about the brand image and the perception that we bring across. I want people to know that we're up there with the best in terms of our image and vibe.
And it's like a spider web, it just keeps growing, but it all comes back to where it started. And the good thing about this is there's lots and lots of drama. And you can just, by hearing what we've talked about already, you know there's going to be drama on the group, you know, and you can't, we don't want to have just a soccer game every episode. It's got to be much more than that, like it's people doubting themselves, people getting injuries, physical, mental, you name it, can all be incorporated in the stories. But there's drama everywhere, and that's what we love. And as soon as you tell someone and start to describe the darkness and the lights and the illegality of playing where you shouldn't be playing, everyone says, wow, we love it.
It's just identifying the opportunity. I knew what the road was going to be, but then Peter actually made it real. So look, Peter was an instrumental role in getting it to where it is now. I can't take any credit for anything that you see. The only credit I get is connecting, you know, Peter and Slavi's vision. That's it.
I'm fairly lucky in that I've been able to start from being a cartoonist, moving into a book illustrator, moving into technology that started. I set up the animation originally with about 1940s technology, where there was an overhead camera, a platen, everything was done in pencil, it was coloured on cells, there were backgrounds done with gouache paint, and then in the early 80s we started to experiment, and I was the first company, I think, in Australia to go digital for 2D animation. Instead of full animation, it's not full Disney, but it works for us.
I've always been into sports. When I was 15, I actually quit soccer. I was only a soccer player. I was coached by my dad till I was the age 13. You could say that's favoritism, but the moment he stopped coaching me, I stopped falling in love with the game. Had some bad coaches left. I played tennis, played for a year, lost to a 13-year-old girl, quit, and went back to soccer. So that's sort of how the transition works. Didn't really enjoy soccer again. Left that, built street football. And I've loved it ever since. Probably because I don't have to take advice from anybody.
I think you have to go with technology. I've, as I said, jumped in early. I've stayed with it. I've seen where it's gone. Our studio is 100% digital. We have now linked up with Nandisha's team, Zentrix, and we're going into 3D, which I've stayed away from for a long time because it's another mind rendering process, which is very, very time-consuming, very expensive, and takes a long time to get right. But the leaders in the industry, Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, have gone there. The market expects it. If you go into that area, you have to be as good as they are, and that's not easy.
Knowing you have the right team is hard because it's taken 6 years, and now I know I have the right team. Knowing you have the right team comes from 6 years of failures with who you had prior. People that just want you for the money, people that just want you for the free brand deals, people that want this for a weekend so they look cool. Now we finally have the people that we all get together well. The vibe is fantastic. We all care about each other. We're all good players and we all have trust in each other. That's the main thing. It's the trust, it's the loyalty, and it's the community vibe. And that's how I know I have the right team. They didn't have to be the best players in the world. Luckily, in terms of street football, I'm pretty sure I do have the best team in this country. And I'd say in a year or two after playing and training, we'll have the best in Asia. And then later, we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
For us to see a project and tick all the boxes is really simple. You know, like it's just going to have multi-layered. It's got to identify to an audience. But the beautiful thing about it is actually they're real. You know, we have half the TV shows, most of the TV shows we make up, they're all fictitious characters. These guys, even though the characters in the show aren't actually the characters in SSC, but they're still real. You know, and I think that's the attraction. That Slavi's real. And animated Slavi will be bigger than Slavi.
I got to keep up with this animation. You got to understand that. I got to keep up with Slavi because if we had like Instagram accounts of both of us, I guarantee he'd be well up above me. So I really got to keep working.
Look, I'd love to have 5 or 6 seasons. I'd love this to be, as Slavi said, I'd love this to be a household name. I'd love it to be just a brand. I'd love it to be a conduit to his brand. All I want to do for Slavi is just help him achieve what he set out to achieve. If we can be a part of that, and if Peter and I can be a part of that, very, very excited. Very, very honoured.
I guess I've said this to Ken recently as well, but a thought can change a whole person's life. So this has really changed my whole outlook on the crew, the whole outlook on the business venture side in general, which is very important. So we now have Streetball, which Ken is the sole reason we got involved in. I would not have had this without Ken. And I know Peter for sure, because it definitely would not have happened without Peter either. But this is definitely the really cool part to be, really cool business and animation to be involved in the first place. Something that, there are street football crews around the world, don't get me wrong, there are. But none of them are going to get to have this opportunity. And that's the coolest thing in the world. And I'm just really thankful that, Ken reached out and said, let's do this, because this is amazing. And where this is going to lead, it just blows my mind.